The gentleman from Michigan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gruber, PhD from MIT, correct?
No, my PhD is from Harvard University.
Okay, Harvard, another prestigious school as well, and you teach at MIT.
Yes, I do.
Very prestigious school. Myself, I graduated from a small college. My dad was a factory worker. I had to work my way through college, but I understand it's very prestigious, and congratulations. But I want to go back. Earlier, there was some people on the, you as well as members of Congress stating that this was very transparent, this bill. And yet, from the very beginning, if I remember correctly, a lady got up in front of the floor of Congress and she said, you got to pass it before you can see what's in it. Do you remember who that was?
I believe that's a quote attributed to Nancy Pelosi.
Correct, thank you. And yet it was 2,700 pages, the original act, and if you read that 2,700 pages, you're going to see a lot that says to be determined in that bill. So the bill wasn't really complete. So how can you have a bill, pass a bill, before you can see what's in it, and call that transparent? Because I didn't get to see it, nor, well, I wasn't here, but other members of Congress really couldn't see that. And then we find out now that, well, we were told that you can keep your insurance and you like it, and we know that's a lie. You can keep your doctor, and we know that's a lie. And you can keep your hospital, and that's a lie. Lies on top of lies. And it's not really about health care either. It's a tax. Premiums will be lower, and yet they're higher. Another lie. So let's backtrack. You apologized today for some comments you made in the video, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it says several times here you said you apologize for insulting others to make yourself look smarter or better than others. Or that's paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what you said. Is that correct? Do you want to repeat what you actually said? Go ahead.
No, what you said is a good paraphrase.
Pretty good. So let's be clear. You did not apologize for helping the administration deceive the American people on this Health Care Act or for telling America the truth in your video comments about how it was a fraud upon the American people. Is that correct, sir?
I think the Affordable Care Act was passed in a highly transparent fashion with hundreds of hours of debate.
But every single thing they promised was a lie. How can you call that transparent? You didn't say what we're about to do for you is not going to really do you any good. You're not going to keep your doctor. You're not going to keep your hospital. Your premiums are going to go up. Why didn't you say that? You were the architect, one of the architects. You created the model. Is that model flawed?
I did economic microsimulation modeling that I believe is
simulation. So you actually created a model to justify their conclusions. Seems about what you did. I mean, you're a lot smarter than I did. Now, here's an opportunity for you to come clean. Lies on top of lies. This is what you have done. You have been a co-conspirator in defrauding the American people, and you admitted it in 2 videos and comments that I saw on TV, and I saw some here today. In helping this administration deceive our citizens, you received grants and contracts from the government, for either the federal government or the states. Was it closer to $2.5 million or $2.8 million you received over the course of implementing this Obamacare?
I don't recall the exact figure.
You're an economist. You know the quotes you said in the book you wrote. You know how to balance a checkbook. You know how to read a balance sheet. Was it 2.5 or 2.8 million or more? Plus or minus $100,000.
Once again, I don't recall the exact amount.
Now you know what? It's about lies, half-truths, and distortions. Why are you continuing to help this administration deceive the American public? With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Well, if I could have the time for just these 40 seconds, and I thank the gentleman. You keep saying you don't recall. Do you not recall any numbers at all? I haven't seen a number you can recall since you gave us that approximately $400,000 in your opening statement. You're an economist. You work with numbers. Why is it that every question that comes from this side of the dais, we get a don't recall, Mr. Gruber?
The $400,000 is a number I recall very well because it's been made very public. The other contracts and other things I receive from states and the federal government are numbers that I don't have at my fingertips, but numbers that, the committee can discuss with my counsel about what's appropriate to reveal.
Well, you're making it very, very obvious that we're not only going to have to discuss with your counsel, we're going to have to serve a subpoena. We're going to have to demand these numbers because you're not even giving us a fair estimate of the approximately $4 million that you said in your earlier statement, well, this is excess and it didn't all come to me, but you haven't answered one question about grants and contracts. I never knew anyone in business who got even a small amount of something that didn't know about the grant or the contract gross value and then what they got from it. And it's amazing that you haven't given us one in number since that chosen amount, and that is a little disturbing. And I will caution you one last time as these individuals ask their questions that the goal was to get completed here today with sworn statements about numbers to the best of your recollection. Approximate was good enough. But, the fact that every answer is, well, discuss with my lawyer puts this committee in a position where it is very clear we're going to have to do more discovery, and likely you're going to be back here again under the new chairmanship. So, Mr. Bentivolio, did you have one last question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just one last question. I understand, according to the Supreme Court, this is a tax, correct? It's a tax.
As I said earlier, I don't believe the individual mandate is.
Okay, but it's a tax for failing to engage in commerce, because if I don't engage in Obamacare, go on the website, I'm going to be taxed or fined, correct?
The individual mandate assesses a penalty on you if you don't get health insurance unless you meet certain exemption criteria.
I'd like to find some other examples of somebody being taxed for failing to engage in commerce. It's kind of like me going into my local grocery store, walking around and not buying anything, and a federal agent's outside the grocery store saying, hey, we're going to tax you because you didn't buy anything in that store.